After a brief overview about blockchain, in lecture 6 we will introduce to you the various types of blockchain. So let's first start with how the various types of blockchains are classified. The types are based on members of the blockchain peer network, who can read, who can write, how is the consensus carried out, what are the benefits and challenges of the various types of blockchain. So the types of blockchain can be categorized into public blockchain, private blockchain, and consortium or federated blockchain. So let's first see what's a public blockchain. In a public blockchain, anyone in the world can read or can write. So you can send transactions and expect that they will be included in the block if they are valid. And anyone can also participate in the consensus process. So members, anyone who can read and write, anyone can read, anyone can write. Consensus will be carried out by all the members in the network. So if you want to define a public blockchain, what you need to note is that the code required to operate a public blockchain is open and everybody has right to it. Anyone can perform the transactions on the network as long as they are valid. So anyone can read and write to the transactions, and the transactions in a public blockchain are anonymous and transparent. So typically a public blockchain is fully decentralized, and the major issue or the challenge with the public blockchain is the amount of computational power required to maintain the distributed ledger in the public environment. Apart from that, what are the advantages of a public blockchain? So in a public blockchain, the major advantages, it is accessible to everybody and there is no third party verification required. There is no extra infrastructure cost because all the members or the peers can actually provide their own machines to store the data. And public blockchain has another major advantage, that it will provide a way to protect the users of the application from other developers. So developers have no authority over the public blockchain because it's open to everybody. And the typical examples of public blockchain: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Dash, Litecoin, Dogecoin, etc. Now, as compared to a public blockchain, what is a private blockchain? In a private blockchain, you need to have write permissions with only one particular organization or a group of members. The read permissions may or may not be public, so they may be public or they may be restricted to a certain group of participants. That depends on whom you want to give access to. So as compared to a public blockchain, in a private blockchain, the edit permissions are kept centralized and they are mostly used in case of DBMS systems where you want to carry out auditing of various fields. So it is possible that the users will be internal to a single company and the company does not want the data of their particular organization to be distributed to the public. So in this particular type of a private blockchain, only the participants who are members can verify the transactions. The benefit of the private blockchain as compared to public: one is the reduction in transaction cost, and there is no data redundancy because you are not storing data in every peer, and it is little easier to handle, and automated compliance functionality can be introduced. Also, a private blockchain can scale better as compared to a public blockchain, and it can comply better to government data security and privacy regulations because everything is private and it is within a trusted environment. There may be even security advantages. A few examples of private blockchain include Monax and multi-chain. Now what happens if you don't have just one organization but a set of organizations who want to interact and share data on the blockchain? Then moving away from public and private blockchain, you have what is called as a consortium or a federated blockchain. So in a federated or a consortium blockchain, it is under the leadership of a group of organizations. So the consensus process can be controlled by a set of predefined nodes. Say maybe 10 to out of say 10 to 15 institutions, at least 10 should sign on every block to be valid. Only then it can be stored on the network. Now the idea here is that since there is a group of organizations involved, you can decide what sort of, who are the members depending on the organization, who can read. If you want that some part of the data to be public, that access can be given to everybody, while writing will be only with a group of institutions and their members. Now typically speaking, a consortium or a federated blockchain is deployed in the banking environment, because you may need different banks to cooperate and work on the data together. Now, the other point of view is that there will be more privacy, and the other advantage will be data transaction cost and data redundancy among organizations can be avoided. So the next point is that if some rules are changed, it will impact everybody in the blockchain, and that may be useful because you can decide what sort of rules to maintain, and functionalities can be varied over a period of time. Now, because in a consortium blockchain, the validators are known because they are members of the organization, 51% attack can be avoided. Transactions over here are cheaper because they are verified only by a few nodes who are trusted and not by everybody. Now, since the read permissions also can be restricted, we can have a greater level of privacy in both private and public private and federated blockchain as compared to public blockchain. A few examples of consortium blockchain are R3 for banks, EWF for energy, B3I for insurance, and Corda. So after looking at the various types of blockchains, that is public, private and consortium, no doubt that the concept of storing data is the same, but the number of validators involved, who can read, who can write, and how is consensus carried out decides the different categories of blockchain. There is one more new idea which has come up in the market, which talks about BaaS, that is blockchain as a service. Now, this is something very new and just rising over the horizon. Actually, what happened is that individuals and businesses were using public blockchain, private blockchain, and then consortium. But it was found that they took a longer time to adapt to the technology. There were technical complexities, and there will be operational overheads involved in creating, configuring, and operating the blockchain, and even maintaining it later. So mass adoption, it was a little deterrent factor, and hence blockchain as a service was proposed, which is basically a cloud-based solution to build, host, and use the own blockchain applications, smart contracts, and other functions to implement a blockchain. So who is responsible here? The cloud-based service provider. So the cloud-based service provider is going to be managing the blockchain and building it for you. You just have to get the transactions ready. You have to decide the number of transactions in a block, and you just have to manage that data. So the cloud service provider will also be managing all the necessary tasks and activities which are required to keep the infrastructure ready and operational. And this blockchain as a service is going to increase the blockchain adoption across businesses. It is similar to software as a service model, but it is slightly different because here you are using a blockchain technology and infrastructure directly, which is pay-per-use. So the client will pay to the BaaS provider. So like a cloud-based, you will have a BaaS provider, and the client will pay to the provider, and who will be responsible for setting up the blockchain, maintaining it, connecting the nodes, etc., and carrying out consensus. So all the activities, infrastructure will be always up and running, and you could also get bandwidth management, allocation of resources, requirements, security, etc., all as a part of the BaaS model. Since the year 2018, a few leading cloud providers initiated work on the blockchain as a service model, and very soon Amazon, AWS, SAP, Oracle, and Google Cloud have announced blockchain cloud services. So this is what is in the offering right now. After looking at the various types of blockchains, that is public, private, and consortium, then looking at DaaS as a service, in the next point, we look at what is a blockchain network community and what's a network. So, blockchain networks and communities have been on the rise, and they will enable the data to be shared among various organizations, and how the benefits of blockchain can be taken up just not by one but various organizations. But before we look at these communities and networks, let's see an example. Say for example, we talk about the government, and there are various departments of the government which issue documents to the citizens. Like in India, we talk about the Aadhaar card, the PAN card, passport, driving license, etc. If a citizen has to move to each department individually with all the required documents for verification or for issue, it will take a lot of time, efforts, and money, and the process itself will be repeated in every particular department. During this phase, third party agents typically join hands together with the officials and assist the citizen, but at a hefty cost. So if we want to reduce this third party interference and decrease the cost and enhance the time required to carry out this documentation and the issue of the document, it is possible that we can pick up all the we can identify all the departments, and we enable a blockchain system, so the departments can view the required documents from all the other pertaining departments. So across the government, if they have a single blockchain, then all the governments can view the data for a particular citizen, and the citizen does not have to move around through the agents or even to spend time in physically going and submitting the data. So the issuing authorities can pick up the verification docs from the other departments because they are available on the blockchain, and accordingly issue the document. Once they issue a particular document to the user, then it can be updated on the blockchain. What will be the impact of such a service? This will save time, money, efforts, bring in transparency, and putting a stop to corruption or mistakes or third party intermediaries. This is implemented in various countries. So, as we know, blockchain network is the in thing now, and blockchain networks can be categorized into the first case, that is a community based network where you can have founders, maybe one or multiple, and the founders are at equal levels, so each of them can decide the strategies. It could be a joint legal entity or a joint venture, and all of them will work together with the members, and all the members and the founders interact together to ensure that the data is shared among the members. An example of such a community based network is the IBM Food Trust and WeTrade. Similar to a community based network, in case if we don't have multiple founders but a single founder, then it's called a founder directed network, where we have a single founder connected to various members. The founder, a single founder, provides a strong direction to the blockchain network, and all of them work together to ensure that the data can be shared among them. Example here is CLS and Northern Trust. Now, like a community based network and a founder directed network, you have a third one, that is a consortium based network. Here we don't have a founder, but all the members work together at the same level, and they are driven by industry standards or body, or maybe by even existing non-blockchain network owners. So all of them interact with each other and ensure that the data can be shared among all the members. Example here is IBM Watson Supply Chain and Swift. So blockchain networks and communities, basically communities enable in sharing of data among different organizations and among the people. Now let's see a little on the lighter note. Let's look at what does a blockchain consultant do. So there was a very nice animated cartoon, and we thought we'll put up here. So this is how the story goes. I've hired a consultant to help us evolve our products to use blockchain technology. So the consultant says blockchain, 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 etc. And the person says, it's as if you are a technologist and a philosopher all in one. And so the consultant says it's a blockchain, side chain, and we are going to have blockchains and blockchains. So, to take further from here, how can a business move to blockchain and reap the benefits of blockchain? You need to understand the benefits, you need to ensure that blockchain is going to help you, and only then an organization can adopt a blockchain. And this is what the blockchain consultant does. It's not what I have just shown here, but that was on a lighter note. But blockchain consultants are involved in understanding the existing process in the organization and preparing a plan as to how to use the blockchain for the benefit for the organization. So in this particular topic, we started with the types of blockchain. We looked at BaaS as a service. Then we saw blockchain network and communities. Next, we looked at the role of a blockchain consultant. And with this, we complete the topic on types of blockchain. So in section 3, we covered blockchain overview and types of blockchain. And in section 4, we will commence with the advanced concepts of blockchain, that is consensus, smart contracts, what is a blockchain project ecosystem, security in blockchain, and blockchain benefits, challenges and standards.